how are we going to know if we're successful at the end of this thing? What are we going to measure? Hey everyone, I'm Shannyn Lee, the Managing Director at Win Without Pitching. And I want to give you an idea today that may help you stand out from the crowd in the sales cycle when you're initiating a conversation with a new prospect. And the focus is not about positioning. I'm going to assume for purposes of this Ask Me Anything that you are already seen as meaningfully different. You've already done the work to position yourself and stand out from your set of competitors. What I want to focus in on today is how you signal to the client from the very first call, the qualifying conversation, that you're different and your process is different when it comes to deciding if you're going to work together or not. So the first conversation where you're actually talking with somebody is the qualifying conversation. This is where you're vetting the lead to see if an opportunity exists and decide if you should keep moving in the sales process. So this is what I want you to do in that call, that first conversation. I want you to say something along these lines. Hey, Miss Client, it's really great to have the opportunity to talk with you today. I wanted to give you a sense of how our process works at XYZ Company when we're deciding if we're a good fit or not for an initiative that a client brings to us. So in this conversation, I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. And I really want to get a chance to better understand what's going on at your business, what the initiative is about, what your vision for the future is, who's going to be involved in making a decision to hire a firm like ours. So this is really our opportunity to assess fit, right? For me to assess, are you the right fit for us? And for you to assess, are we the right fit for you? And I'm going to leave plenty of time for you to be able to ask questions as well. And then at the end of this conversation, if we decide, yeah, let's keep talking, this makes sense, then the next conversation we'll have is one where we're going to want all of those people around the table who are going to be a part of making the decision to hire a firm like ours and who are going to be a part of the initiative that it's going to affect, right, their department, their team. And what we're going to do in that conversation is we're going to focus on value. We're going to dig in and really understand, how are we going to know if we're successful at the end of this thing? What are we going to measure? What are the specific metrics we can tie to things to hold ourselves accountable? What kind of an investment would your company be willing to make if we were to hit some of these metrics for you? So this conversation, again, is very focused on you and your organization and the initiative itself and the value that we can create. And coming out of that conversation, I'm going to go back and sit with my team, and we're going to think about solutions for you. We're going to think about how we might solve your problem. And we'll come back to you in what we really view as our final conversation and walk you through 3 different options that we think would really tackle your problem in different ways. And in that conversation that we view as the final conversation, we're going to make a decision there together. We're going to decide which of these options makes the most sense. And we're going to decide, should we work together or not? So that's a little bit about our process. Hopefully it's helpful to give you a roadmap for how this kind of series of conversations will go as we decide, are we a good fit to work together? And I'll also leave plenty of time, like I said, for you to be able to ask the questions you need to ask when you're assessing if we're a fit as well. Okay, if that sounds good, let's get going. I want you to actually do that in your sales conversation. What I'm talking about here is what we call the buyer's journey, the arc of the sale. And the conversations that you're having are, 1, probative. This is a conversation that's taking place without you being present. This is your positioning and your marketing doing its work out there, really helping to build awareness and give expert insights so that people will reach out to you. And then the first in-person conversation that happens is the qualifying conversation. That's where I want you to say these words. That's where I want you to walk through the process to signal we are different in how we decide if we're going to work with clients. Then there's the value conversation. And I was referencing that in my little spiel I was giving you, where it's really focused on creating the most value possible for that client and uncovering measurements and metrics and a fair range of investment to get there. And the final conversation is the closing conversation. And in the closing conversation, you're facilitating a choice. You're facilitating a choice around the 3 options you've put together in your 3-option 1-page proposal. So I want you to give this a try. And those of you who have been through a workshop or private training are deeply familiar with the 4 conversations that happen in the sale. Those of you who aren't, maybe you want to decide to join a workshop at some point or come into training or join one of our boot camps to learn more about this. But at the very least, try to give yourself a framework and set the expectation from call number 1 with that client that you have a process as well that you follow when it comes to deciding if you're going to work together or not. Let them know what that process is and then lead in the sale. Because if you lead in the sale, you're setting your team up to lead in the engagement and do your best work. Okay, everybody, that's what I have for you today. Hope that was helpful. And remember, as always, find your own words. Bring your own style to these things. Don't feel as if you have to parrot exactly what I'm saying. All right, cheers, everyone.